Alright friends, we are back for part 2 of our demo of Solid State Logic's new 500 series modules, the 6-channel and UltraViolet stereo EQ. In part 1 we tracked Olivia Dear's song Get It Right using 2 6-channel modules and talked about the benefits of tracking with EQ and compression. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch that real quick and meet me back right here. For this installment, we're going to take everything we did in part 1 and we're going to put it through the UltraViolet EQ just to start carving and shaping everything exactly how we want. We'll then run our final mix through it and then have a listen to the finished track at the end. Before we jump into it, let's cover everything you need to know about the UltraViolet EQ. As we touched on in part 1, the stereo EQ got its start in SSL's 19-inch rack mount color box known as the Fusion. And due to how popular just the Violet EQ module was in the Fusion, they've taken that, extrapolated upon it, and created its own standalone 500 series version. The UltraViolet EQ adds 2 dedicated midbands with a unique focus control for ultimate flexibility. Looking near the bottom of the front panel, we have 2 focus buttons accentuating or attenuating problematic or specific frequencies. This automatically narrows the chosen Q setting further, as well as increases the range of gain available beyond the normal plus minus 9 dB operation. Every bit as musical as it is surgical for fine-tuning your mix. And for all of you up in the rafters that want tech specs on each frequency band, I'll throw some numbers up on the screen for you. Alright friends, I'm going to hand it over to Bryan Reilly. Let's start shaping our mix with the UltraViolet EQ.
So in part 1, we tracked all of our sources through the new 6-channel. And on the way in, we were able to use a little bit of EQ and compression to help dial in our source a little better than what it would be raw through the microphone. So in this video, I want to demonstrate how you can take that one step further with the brand new UltraViolet EQ. And this is going to help us shape these individual groups as far as the drums, the bass, the keys, the guitars, and the vocals. And it's going to help us scoop out a little bit, or maybe that low mid-range or that mud that we don't want. And it's going to help us add that shine and overall polish to what the final mixed version will sound like. So let's hear what it sounds like on all these individual groups. All right, so for the drums, just listening to the raw source, I can hear basically that there's a little bit of cloudiness in the low mid frequency, and there's a little bit of sub buildup that's happening from the kick samples. So I'm going to use the UltraViolet to clear that out a little bit. And then I can also hear that I want to add a lot of top end to make those live drums come through, especially the hi-hat and the cymbals. And then I also want that snare sample to pop. So then I'm going to reach for the mid-range band and add maybe a little bit of 4K or something to make that happen. So let's hear what it sounds like on the drums. All right, so for the bass example, we started the bass using the Moog Matriarch, and we use kind of this like dirtier, super low sub bass that just fills out the entire bottom of the track. And then after the fact, we overdubbed. I played an octave higher with my Fender P-Bass, and that's just giving more of that kind of woody overtone to the entire thing. So as I'm listening to the raw source here, I'm hearing that there's definitely, again, like a little bit of buildup in that that low mid-range, and also a little bit in the actual sub-frequency. But then I also do want to hear more of the growl of the matriarch itself. And then I also want to hear just a little more presence on the live bass. So I'm going to use the UltraViolet to start carving away, and let's hear what it sounds like. All right, so in our keyboard example, first we tracked Olivia playing her Nord, and that's going mono just into the 6, and it's a Wurlitzer patch. And on the way in, we did use a little bit of EQ to take a little bit of that low end away and add some of the high frequency, but it's still a little bit cloudy. And then on top of that, we did use the matriarch, and we added just some pad chords over top of everything. And then we have a lead line that's kind of playing almost some like harmony stuff along with the chords itself. And then we also have this sparkly arpeggiator. So right off the bat, what I want to do with the UltraViolet is clear up some of that low mid frequency range. And then I also want to get rid of some of the sub frequencies that are going to make room for our bass. And then I really want to open up the upper mids and the higher frequencies to make all those twinkly effects from the matriarch really poke through. And then also that airy kind of almost reverby or delay sound that the matriarch is also doing to the track. So let's hear what it sounds like. All right, so next we're going to move on to the acoustic guitar, which is just my Martin 0016, and we're using a Neumann U87 tracked through the 6-channel. And on the way in, I was using a very mild amount of EQ, just like a tiny bit of top end, and I was rolling off some of the low end. And then on this example, I was actually using a lot of compression, which you can hear in the raw source. So I did 2 versions of it. So it's hard left and hard right, just 2 different voicings. And what I want to do with the UltraViolet is I want to clean up some of that lower mid-range, just take out some of the murkiness. And then I just want to add a tiny bit of sparkle to the top end just to make it cut through the track. All right, so for our vocal example, so we had Olivia singing into a U87 through the 6th channel. And on the way in, I was adding just a tiny bit of high end EQ, and I was rolling off a little bit of the low frequency, and then I was also using the high pass filter. Also on the way in, I was using probably the medium setting of compression that's happening. So we have the lead vocal, and then we have a low harmony and a high harmony in the chorus. So making that a 3-part harmony there. And then in the interludes and the beginning and the outro of the song, we have a 3-part harmony that Olivia is doing. So what I hear that I want to do onto this is I want to take away the low frequency that doesn't necessarily need to be there. And it's kind of being brought up from the compression that's happening. And then I want to add a tiny bit of some higher mid-range to her voice to make it cut through the track. And then I also want to add some super top end to make those breaths come through and to just really open up her voice. So let's hear what it sounds like.
I've got to organize this love of mine. I want to get it right for you. Don't mean to make you wait or calculate. I want to get it right for you. I've been around, I know your games well. You know I want this all to work out. But I've seen sadness and all disasters too. So let's think this through. I've got to organize this love of mine. I want to get it right for you. No, I don't mean to make you wait, calculate. I want to get it right for you.
For the final mix of this song, I wanted to use our pair of 6 channels along with the UltraViolet. So a big benefit to the 6 channel is that on the bottom you can actually switch it to a line input. So I can go out of the DAW and then line in to the 6 channel, which then gives me the ability to reuse the EQs as well as the compression on the overall mix. So then I follow the 6 channels by the UltraViolet, which then I can actually add more EQ. So whether I want to add more low frequency or more high end or take away some of the low mids, I can do all that with the UltraViolet. And then I also have this great feature, which is the trim at the bottom. So if I'm doing a little bit of gain reduction from the compressors on the 6 channel, I can actually make up the gain with the UltraViolet. So sounds louder and more like a finished mix. So with that in mind, compared to the stemmed mix, I noticed that when I used the UltraViolet, I was maybe going a little heavy-handed on taking away some of the low frequency and some of the low mids from the individual sources. So in the final mix, I wanted to boost all that back up. And the UltraViolet itself has this amazing, just big low end that I can add to it. And then I also wanted to add just a little bit of top end air overall to the entire mix. So let's put our hands on it and see what we come up with.
I need some time to get my mind right. Follow directions, stay in sidelines. And if you want me, you'll stay 10 feet back. Leave me on track. I've got to organize this love of mine. I wanna get it right, get it right, get it right for you. Don't mean to make you wait or calculate. I wanna get it right, get it right, get it right for you. I've been around, I know your games well. You know I want this all to work out. But I've seen sadness and all disasters too. So let's think this through. I've got to organize this love of mine. I wanna get it right, get it right, get it right for you. No, I don't mean to make you wait, calculate. I wanna get it right, get it right, get it right for you.
All right, everyone, we made it. We tracked and mixed a song exclusively using a pair of SSL 6 channels, as well as the UltraViolet stereo EQ. This was a super fun challenge. I hope you guys dug what you heard today. As always, if you have any questions about any of these 500 series modules, anything at all from SSL, be sure to hit up your audio consultant, visit us at vintageking.com, and we'll see you next time.